Hi, I'm Cynthia. I'm going to talk today about tiny house versus small house. Do you want to live in a 400 square foot tiny house or an 800 square foot small house? First, I will talk about tiny houses. I have been watching the tiny house movement for probably 10 years. Love tiny houses, love the concept. Um, And there's some things, the first questions that if someone is serious about moving to a tiny house, there's some important questions to ask yourself. The first one that I think everybody thinks of right off the bat is, do I want to get rid of all my things? If you're a minimalist, it's not a problem. If you're not, such as myself, that's much more of a consideration. So that would be the first thing to think of. And then the second thing, which I don't think most people necessarily think of, is where are you going to put your wonderful tiny house? It's a great idea to have a house that you can move, but where do you move it to? Most states don't have a lot of what is termed unincorporated land. And if you have the money to buy a tiny house and then you want to put it someplace and you think, oh, well, I'll just put it on a lot somewhere. You can't, because most counties don't want people living in a house that's not what they've called it, what's been called a sticks and bricks. And so you have to really know the rules in your county or any county that you choose about that situation. And as I said, most places don't allow you to do that. Now, there are tiny home communities these days in places. I know where I live, there's one about an hour and a half from here. But that's too far away from me. I want to be closer. My kids are all close by, within a half an hour drive, but they're all sort of in different areas. So that would be just too far in terms of going to visit or taking care of the grandkids, that sort of thing for me. Now, are there tiny home communities where you live? You have to research that. And as I said, there are some, but those three things are super important because you just can't have a tiny house anywhere that you would like. And the other thing that people often maybe don't realize is that it's easy to say, well, I have a house on wheels, I'll just move it. However, if you don't have a massive truck to move it with, you have to hire somebody else to move it. And that will cost you $2,500, $3,000. It depends on how far you're going. And if it's, I think, any wider than maybe 8 or 10 feet, you have to have, the trucks have to have escorts to keep people away from it. So it's not inexpensive. So if you wanted to move it, then you have to do that. And then if you're in a tiny home community, you need to pay rent, which puts you in the situation of the rent going up. And so those are the very serious reasons why you need to consider that very carefully. Now, one company that I know of, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way except that I watch their videos, is called Incredible Tiny Homes on YouTube. And they build all kinds of tiny houses, anything that you could want, any size. They have the Amish that build some of their tiny houses, so they're beautiful, beautifully detailed. And they also have a kind of house that they've pioneered, which is a panel home. And they're not that pretty. You could paint them up cute, but they're very boxy. But they have 3-inch deep foam panels, which is what the walls are made out of, makes them very light. And I think they make them up to 14 feet, maybe even 16 feet wide. So you can have a full 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a great room in the middle usually, or if you can have any floor plan that you want if you don't want to buy what they do as standard. And I think that would be a really good option, because then no matter where you live, your electric bills are going to be lower, summer or winter, because they're very, very well insulated. So that, if you don't know about them, that would be something that you could check out. They do videos all the time, and they also have communities. There's 2 or 3 of them. I know there's at least one in Tennessee, if not 2. And I think there's another one in Nevada, and I know they tried to do one in South Carolina, but that fell through because they ran into all the rules and regs, and so it's very hard for them to find land where they can do those. But they don't charge very much rent on their land, and it's a very nice community for seniors. A lot of single seniors that don't have kids or whatever move into those. So that might be an option. Now, the option that I chose was a small house, and I had a very large house, 2-story with a basement, and it was probably close to 3,000 square feet. And my kids were all grown and out of the house, and I didn't want to spend the money and the time, and so fixed it up and sold it and moved to Ecuador for a year and came back. And upon returning, I wanted a little house. And my daughter we were in Ecuador, and my daughter found this one that I'm in right now on the internet. And she said, and I liked Cape Cod, so this house and I like vintage. So this house is a 1950 Cape Cod style. And when I was a kid, I used to like to draw floor plans. My mom and I would go to building sites and look at things that were being built. And we just thought that was a lot of fun. And so early on, I started drawing floor plans when I was thinking about living somewhere and what could we build. And I've looked at earth houses and cabins and just all manner of houses. And the reason I mentioned that I drew floor plans is that I quickly realized that a house really can't be easily functionable unless it's about 24 feet wide. And the more rooms you want, the longer it's going to be, but 24 by 34 is a nice size little house, meaning the rooms are good size, decent size, not huge, but not tiny. This house has a living room. It has closet space. That's the other thing. If you're trying to build a house or find a house, you need storage space, and storage space takes up square footage. So again, a house this size has 2 good sized bedrooms, a nice big bathroom, a kitchen, and a dining room, and it's comfortable. Now, in my case, I have, this is because it's an old house, and many houses, especially the old ones, have basements in the East or in the Midwest, like in Ohio. Ohio is kind of like right on the border. It's kind of almost not the Midwest, and it's not the East, but it's got the weather, And so, what was I saying? So the basement, this house has a basement, and this house has an attic. Now, when you look on when I looked on the real estate side, it said it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-floor house. But it has the perk of having the basement for storing things and the laundry, and also what I liked about it was, one of the things I liked about it was that it had a full staircase to the attic. So the first thing I did when we moved in was I had the attic very well insulated, and I had was going to put a bathroom in, and the bathroom is roughed in, but it's not finished. And then I have a kind of long closet, and so the attic becomes kind of a master suite. So this is a small 800 square foot house with the bonus of having a basement and an attic, which gives me additional space. So for me, that's really important. I love antiques. I love vintage things. I have become my house is full of memories. It's full of antiques. Most of them were given to me by family members. Some of them I bought myself when I was really young, and I've never deviated from that. I did have, for instance, this settee, I had it redone, reupholstered and kind of fixed up. But I've kept the same furniture basically, and added to it when the kids were home and we had more room, and their rooms were an antique. But I've just kept it that way, and so I've been given more antique furniture, but I've very rarely bought furniture. So that works very well for me. Tell me what works for you, and please ask questions. Love questions. Would love to speak with you and interact. And if you have questions, I can do another video if we want to talk about other things. So have a nice evening. Bye-bye.